Even well-planned projects face issues, resource shortages, tech failures, scope shifts, or difficult personalities. As a new project manager, your ability to guide your team through uncertainty, issues, and change is just as important as your planning skills. This section is your toolkit for navigating the inevitable bumps in the road, calmly, professionally, and effectively. If you're running around with your hair on fire, you've already lost control. Challenges aren't always technical. Often, they're interpersonal. As a project manager, your emotional intelligence is vital, and maybe your sense of humor. First challenge: dealing with difficult stakeholders. Your stakeholders will, without a doubt, entirely believe that whatever they do is beyond reproach. However, stakeholders may have unrealistic expectations, resist change, or show little engagement. What to do? Listen actively. Understand their concerns without becoming defensive. Clarify expectations. Use the project charter or requirements documents to align with what's in scope. Communicate frequently. Keep them in the loop. Uncertainty fuels frustration. Escalate if needed. If behavior becomes obstructive, use escalation protocols appropriately. This one can be difficult, but often necessary. Challenge 2: difficult team members. You may encounter poor performance, lack of cooperation, or conflict among team members. And remember, as a project manager, you may not have any disciplinary powers over staff resources. You will have to escalate to their line manager and hope they will do something about it. Sometimes they will. Maybe they've been looking for an excuse to fire someone, and you just provided it. Sometimes they won't, and in this case, I'm sorry, but you are probably just going to have to put up with it. What to do? Address issues early. Don't let bad behavior fester. And yes, I have personally fired team members for this sin. I will happily accept lower technical skills over better organizational fit any day. Technical skills we can teach. Bad attitudes tend to be ingrained. Be specific and objective. Focus on behavior and impact, not personality. If you are going to replace team members, be sure it's based on some sort of metric. Give them challenges, realistic challenges, and if they fail, then you know what to do next. Coach and support. Understand if the issue stems from unclear expectations or lack of resources. Remember this: if your project succeeds, it's probably down to your team. The project fails, it will definitely be down to you. Involve HR or leadership. If the situation escalates beyond your role, might get nasty at this stage, but it goes with the territory. Sorry, but I didn't promise you a bed of roses. Top tip: stay calm and professional. Your leadership sets the tone for how the team handles conflict. Remember, if you are organized, consistent, and respectful, then what goes around often comes around. Facts of life. Next, learning from mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. What matters most is how you respond. I have no problem with mistakes. I make plenty. What I do have a problem with is trying to hide mistakes or blaming someone else. There's one thing I learned over the years. It's this: if you stick your hand up early and say, "I got that wrong," then generally people will respect you far more than engaging in any political blame game or cover-up. It's just not worth it. Fess up early, fix it, and move on. Embrace a growth mindset. Normalize learning. Cultivate a team culture where mistakes are discussed openly without blame. Encourage retrospectives. After major phases or sprints, ask, what went well? What didn't? What can we do better next time? Document lessons learned. Maintain a log you can reference for future projects. Learn from every phase. During planning, did estimates fall short? Why? During execution, were communication channels clear? During closing, were stakeholders satisfied? What could improve delivery? Here's a pro insight. Mistakes often lead to your most valuable professional growth. And admitting a mistake early earns more respect than hiding it. Next, escalation protocols. When you hit a roadblock you can't resolve alone, escalation is your formal route for help. It's not failure. It's a necessary and healthy process in professional project management. I've had to do this often. Sometimes it's a daunting prospect. Someone just isn't playing ball, and they are impacting the delivery of your project. It's them or you. Escalate. When to escalate? An issue is outside your authority to resolve. A decision needs to be made at the sponsor or leadership level. There's a risk to budget, scope, or schedule that exceeds tolerance levels. How to escalate effectively? Be clear and concise. Describe the problem, the impact, and what you've already tried. Provide options. Don't just drop the problem. Recommend solutions. Use the chain of command. Start with your immediate manager or sponsor, unless urgency requires higher escalation. Document everything. Keep a trail of conversations and decisions. Tip: escalation should be professional, not emotional. It's about solutions, not blame. Once, on a project for an organization that shall remain nameless, I hit a roadblock because someone just wasn't providing what I needed. I had to escalate. This individual went running to their line manager, saying they knew nothing about it. I had the 27 emails as evidence. It did not go well for that individual, and guess what? My sympathy gauge reads 0. Next, how to manage change and the change control processes. Scope, schedule, and costs are rarely static. But if you allow uncontrolled change, you risk chaos. Change control can often turn into an unholy monster, and it's important that we differentiate between the change control methods we use in systems maintenance, where change is considered horrible and possibly downright evil, to the types of change that we are going to experience in projects, where change is inevitable, often a good thing, and should be embraced. Why change control matters. A disciplined change control process keeps your project stable and ensures every change is deliberate, reviewed, and approved. But this process has to be dynamic and flexible. Too many times in my career, I have been stymied by the dreaded change control board, who delay or block some change, simply because they don't understand that the change is necessary, or that it may be the mitigation to some risk or issue, or that we just found a better way of doing something. If you find yourself in an environment where change control processes are embedded into everyday thinking, be prepared to spend a lot of your time throwing paper darts into a waste bin, because there may be a lot of hanging around while waiting for someone else to make a decision. Next, the main steps in a change control process. 1. Submit a change request. Anyone can raise a request, but it must be documented. 2. Evaluate the impact. Assess effects on scope, cost, schedule, and quality. 3. Review with stakeholders. Present the impact and options. 4. Approve or reject. Only authorized individuals, often the project sponsor or steering committee, can approve. 5. Update plans and communicate. Revise relevant documents and inform the team. Here's a tip. Use a changelog to track all change requests and outcomes. This ensures transparency. Change is inevitable in projects, whether it's a shift in customer needs, market conditions, regulations, or internal priorities. However, how change is managed differs dramatically between waterfall and agile methodologies. Waterfall treats change as an exception which must be rigidly controlled. Agile treats change as a fundamental feature of the process. So, let's take a more in-depth look at change management in waterfall projects. Waterfall projects assume requirements are fixed at the beginning, and that change should be minimized and controlled. Change management is a formal process governed by documentation and approval protocols. So let's take a look at a typical change control process. First, change identification. Anyone involved in the project can raise a change request. Secondly, the request must be formally submitted and logged. Next, impact analysis. Assess effect on cost, time, scope, quality. CCB review. Change Control Board evaluates and approves, rejects. Implementation. Approved changes are implemented. Strengths. High traceability. strong governance in regulated industries. Weaknesses, slower to adapt. Risk of discouraging innovation. Change management in agile projects. Agile accepts that requirements evolve and that the ability to adapt is a strength. Change is embraced through short iterations, feedback loops, and backlog refinement. How Agile manages change. Customer collaboration. Continuous feedback, for example, sprint reviews. Product backlog. Live repository of priorities. Sprint planning. Scope is flexible between sprints. Emergent design. Architecture evolves. Minimal bureaucracy. Decisions often made by product owner. Strengths, fast adaptation to user needs. Low overhead for small changes. Weaknesses can spiral into scope creep if unmanaged. Less traceability in large-scale environments. Change management and hybrid approaches. Hybrid environments require a blended strategy. Formal change control for fixed. Scope elements, agile backlog refinement for evolving components. Hybrid strategies. A hybrid model blends formality where needed, for example, compliance, with agility where speed and user feedback matter. Use lightweight CCBs for major changes. Let agile teams own sprint. Level decisions. Maintain an integrated change log. Visualize metrics on shared dashboards. Best practices for managing change across methodologies. Define formal versus informal change boundaries. Empower product owners. Track all changes, even informal. Communicate impacts early. Reflect and improve. Use retrospectives and reviews. Pro tip: use tools like Jira, DevOps, or Confluence for tracking and visibility. So, final thoughts. Change management is not a one-size-fits-all process. Waterfall provides control and accountability, while Agile enables speed and flexibility. Hybrid approaches require thoughtful tailoring to balance both. The key to effective change management lies not in resisting change, but in structuring your team and tools to handle it wisely. Change is not a disruption, it's a constant. The best project managers prepare their teams, select the right framework, and guide change proactively. Whether you follow a strict waterfall process, an agile rhythm, or a hybrid blend, the principles remain. Keep it transparent. Make it intentional. Own it as a leader. Every project will encounter challenges. What sets a successful project manager apart is not avoiding problems. It's knowing how to handle them with confidence, clarity, and control. Mastering risk and issue management, change control, conflict resolution. Learning from mistakes and escalation protocols will prepare you for almost anything a project might throw your way. You won't get it perfect every time, but with each challenge, you'll grow stronger and more capable. Remember, if your project succeeds, it's because of your team. If it fails, it's probably on you. Hard truths of project management. Success is less about avoiding problems and more about how you handle them. Calm, control, and clarity will carry you and your team through. In the next video, we'll examine how leadership roles differ in Agile and Waterfall, and how project managers, product owners, and executives must adapt to guide their teams in each environment.